So moving on, the first question, why? I mean, because, and this why is quite important actually, because I mean, a lot of people talk about machine learning without even, I would say, having a proper idea of why they should apply it, how that should be beneficial. So why do we need machine learning models? First of all, thing that I keep on telling people, many people all the time, is because I see a lot of pushback when we talk about data-driven decision making in Bangladesh. I get like, dialogues like, ভাই এসব তো এই দেশে এভাবে হয় না, আমরা জানি কিভাবে হয়, and type of that. So, and the people kind of respond like, it's experience that trumps anything. And my answer is very simple. My answer is experience is obviously trumping everything out there. Even for a data scientist, for a data analyst, experience is trumps even a PhD. But my point is, yes, experience-based decision is good, but why not experience plus evidence? That's what machine learning gives you. It doesn't replace your intuition. It doesn't replace your experience. It enhances it. That's why you should go for data-driven decision making, go for machine learning models. The other thing is, today, an average laptop packs in more processing power than full room supercomputer in 1990s. And then we have the power of cloud with us. The concepts like the places like Amazon Cloud Platform, Google Cloud Platform, Amazon Web Services, Google Cloud Platform. And although they're expensive, their free tier is also super powerful to handle a lot of work. So in my opinion, like, there is no limitation to our processing power. So why not process the data we have? And the last point is right at you, the data. There's so much data out there. Previously, data was numbers. Today, data is customers' interaction in your website, the angles that the customer is looking in your shop, the video of the customer, like for agriculture, I was checking a few days back that, the weather satellite images. So there's so much data out there. So that is why machine learning, that, it's better to be both taking a decision from experience with supported by evidence. It's the processing power is right at our fingertips now. In fact, actually a smartphone is powered than a supercomputer at times. And finally, the third one is basically data is everywhere. So why not just make use of them? So before we go to the models, few things to consider before jumping to a model. And this is, I consider, to be honest, this is my honest, earnest, and experience feedback here, is I've worked with a lot of young data scientists and young data analysts. I mean, I feel old, but I'm still 33. But I've worked with much more, I would say, aspiring young professionals. And one of the things I see them do, which I consider to be super wrong, is they look at the data and they jump to coding, jump to opening the software, writing codes, and running models. But I think we need to consider a few things before jumping to just running a model or implementing a model. And these are few of the many things that I consider anyone who's going to use machine learning for their startups need to first answer or think before implementing any model. The first one is good data. And this is something I think I've had enough discussion in the last two sessions as well, that, it doesn't need to be an unbiased data. It just needs to be good. The difference between unbiased and a good data is unbiased means that there would be no biases in data. And by my experience, there's always some bias in data. A good data is data which is, first of all, appropriate for the situation. Second of all, it has proper documentation that tells you where the biases are coming from. See, I have this dialogue I keep on telling people that, you can never unbias a data. You can always you cannot eliminate bias. You can illuminate bias and let people know about the bias so that when they take decisions, they're aware where the data biases are. So that's a good data. The second thing is, and this I share from my experience even in TikTok for last 1 year. Sometimes the most complex of problems were solved by a basic exploratory analysis. A simple, what would you call? A simple histogram, a simple bar chart, a simple tree diagram, a simple mosaic plot can solve most of your problem. So it's very important that before you fit in any model to go through, and it's boring. Exploratory analysis is always boring. It's strenuous, it's repetitive, but simple but thorough explanatory analysis and thorough visualizations, the third point, is worth to start with. If you ask me, when I look into a data situation, what I do is, like normally most data sets are like this, right? We have columns where variables are and rows where entries are. So I would spend my time. So we have columns and we have rows. Columns, we have variables. So even before you fit in any model, even if you have confident idea that, okay, this is the data I was looking for, this is how I want to process it, please take your time and analyze each variable at a time. Create an exploratory chart or a simple summary of every single column of data you have. Please do that. It's a mandatory thing. When my team works with me, they hate me for this, but I make them go through this every single time, because that highlights stuff that you might miss out. Another important thing for most businesses, and this is where I would say the strategist of the business needs to understand this, that data is not the magic potion that's going to solve everything. You need to have a good idea of how in the models that you want to learn, run, the data that you want to use, how does it connect with the vision of the company? So I believe in this structure where, say, the company, this chief data officer, the chief executive officer needs to sit and align on what is needed for the company right now. From there, dumb it down to what is needed from each team. Then from each team, numb it down to what is needed, like what data can solve the problem for that team and what models can solve the problem. And that's how identify the models you need, identify the data you need, identify the type of analysis you need to do. This is very important. And these are all non-technical stuff that I believe you should do before even going to any model. And finally, a very important thing that I tell people, that most companies I've seen who has wanted to, turn things around upside down with data has failed. A better approach is always the baby step approach. Take a pilot study, take a pilot step, have a pilot model, see how this model is working in a smaller group of data or smaller context, and see if it's okay, if it's running properly. Then expand it or scale it up a little bit more. Check and modify based on all the learnings you're having. Expand a little bit more. And that's how you scale it up all across organization. But going in one go and rushing through it, most of the time leads to, not happy outcomes.